In this video, we're going to talk about base 10 basics. And the pieces that I have strewn across through here represent base 10 blocks or Dinese blocks. Now, before I showed you base 10 represented with names like ones, tens, and hundreds. So in base 10 basics, we need to be able to identify what each piece represents. And when we look at base 10 blocks, we have three different types. We can actually show a cube, but in terms of dimensional, looking at it like this, it's easier to do this way. Alright, so the first thing that we have represents ones, and it's called a unit. The next thing that we have represents tens. And basically, I've stacked up 10 of these little units to form a 10, and it's given a name called a rod. Then if I took and stacked together 10 of these rods side by side, I could put them together and I would have a flat. Let me zoom in here just a little bit on this so you can see. So as you look down through here, you see that you've got a row here, or a column here, and a column here. So I could take this little rod and I could just lay it on top here, and then you can see easily that I have 10 of those. Okay, now let me zoom back out just a bit. Okay, and this is called, it looks like a big flat, and that's actually what it is, and it represents hundreds. Okay, so that if we're talking about place value like what we had before, we had the first three places, ones, tens, and hundreds, and they're represented with this. So if we had 200, we would have 2 flats. 39, so 30 would have 3 of these rods. And it's hard to see 2 of these flats, but we're going to put them here anyway like that. And then 9 would have 9 of these. Let's see, we got 7, we need 2 more. 8. And you all are going to love this when you become teachers, because when you get at the overhead with this, that's what I'm actually using, is overhead manipulatives. And when you get at the overhead trying to do this for students, it's somewhat, you know, you run out of space when you're trying to do things, and you typically will drop all of these little things. But one characteristic that you need to remember about base 10 blocks is the fact that if I have a rod, okay, I can pull it apart and have 10 pieces, okay, to go with it. Or if I have 10 pieces, I can put them together and make one rod. Likewise, if I have one flat, I can pull it apart into 10 of these rods. Okay, I've just got 4, but I can pull it apart into 10. And likewise, if I have 10 of these rods, I can put them all together and make one of these flats. And it's very important that children understand those concepts, because if they understand the concept that you can put these together, units together to make rods, and rods together to make flats, and then you can, the concept of carrying is easy to look at, or vice versa. If you understand that you take a flat and pull it apart into 10 of these 10 rods, or units by pulling apart a rod into 10 units. So the pulling apart concept will help them when they're looking at borrowing and subtraction. Important concepts. And there you have base 10 basics. Now, let's go just a little bit further with base 10 basics and take a look at how we can better represent some of these numbers. So if I look at a number that looks like this, basically what I have, sorry. Basically what I have begins with the ones place, which is represented by 10 to the 0 power, because any number raised to the 0 power is 1. Okay? Second place is represented by 10 to the first power, or tens. In other words, just 1 10. Third place is represented by 10 to the second. Notice the pattern. 0, 1, 2. My exponents are raising each time. Then this means 10 times 10, or 100. The next power would be 10 to the third power. Now, that's 1,000, or 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1,000. See, these are just another way of showing ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands, and we'll go on and on, 10 to the fourth, 10 to the fifth. So the exponent tells us how many times the base is multiplied together, and this is what happens in place value. And it's really important that you understand the concept of the exponent part and how the pattern is. Ones place is always the same no matter what base you use. In later videos we're going to be talking about different bases, and it's going to be, they're all based on the pattern from the base 10 system.